Looking for a yes or no to my specific question. Is it possible for somebody to consume a fair amount of alcohol and also has to feel like this?
Yes, I suppose it's possible.
Well, would you like me to, if you would be so kind, then get, with respect to dairy, I did what we're calling two estimates of two career paths of his lifetime for anything. One was, if he finished his bachelor's degree, worked as an engineer, and the second was as a clerk, if he worked as a grocery clerk, and did not finish college.
You start with the assumption that he became an engineer.
Sure. So, as an engineer, I assume Aaron finishes his education by about age 22. I started him out as an engineer at 73 $400 a year, which is an entry level figure. That's an average of all engineers that entry level minimum when we start in our career. I estimated his earning capacity to retirement at age 67, which is what we call normal retirement age in the United States. Keyed on when you can collect full Social Security. I considered his benefits. Benefits are part of our compensation, such as health insurance and retirement. Our employer pays part of that in addition to our salary, and that was 16.8%. I subtracted what we call personal maintenance, it's 35%. So that was the subtraction. I took that as a reasonable cost for him to produce his income. So in economics, we have a concept called consumption, and consumption is what we spend: food, clothing, our rent, our housing, our transportation. Personal maintenance is a little different. It's the reasonable expenses to produce this income. We think of it as a piece of equipment in a plant has to be maintained to work, and that we apply that concept to the dairying. And finally, I gave wage growth was 2.95%. So basically, over his work life, let's say 67, I was growing this 73,000, 2.5% a year, or 2.95%. And when we do all of that math, so now we're just doing math, and the net loss of that earning capacity is $7,719,000. Had he worked as an engineer and finished his education in his bachelor's.
I want to break that bit by bit, if you don't mind. Starting with the $73,000 number, could you tell me how you arrived to that number exactly?
Sure. I just looked at the Bureau of Labor Statistics and I looked at the occupation of engineers. And when you have that data, they start at what's called the 25th percentile, 50th median, 75th, 90th was experience. So in economics, we know that earnings will grow over your career and kind of do this. So this would be the entry level, which is generally going to be that 25% percentile. So I just looked at that entry level earnings.
And the final number at the bottom, wage growth at 2.95%. Is that an average, or what is that?
That's just, yes, that's just a private sector average. Over what's going to happen is that life cycle I drew before, it's going to be quicker in the early years and then level off. I just kind of took more of an overall average, which is more conservative than growing, because of the compound nature of you're growing something. And I'm growing, say the data shows in your 20s that if you enter your career, it's going to be 5 or 6% for the first several years. And you're applying that to 73,000, that's going to jump real high. So if I use a lower rate, it's going to smooth that out.
Dr. Reinhardt, you said you had two numbers, right?
Yes.
Could you show the jury the second one?
Sure. And the second one was as a like a grocery clerk type job, and in this one, I didn't use the entry level, I used the experience. Given that he had done this type of work before, I also looked at his education. You know, it's $28,000 a year. That's about $15 an hour. That's pretty low for someone to walk with a 20-year-old in over his career. Everything else stayed the same, 67, benefits at 17%. The maintenance at 35, and the same wage growth. And the net loss had worked as a cashier. It is $3,276,000.
Now, that number is assuming he stayed as a store clerk his entire life, right?
Yes.
Now, if you had a chance to review Dr. Beretto's, the report,
I did.
could you tell me your opinion on it?
I felt he significantly understated, Darren's earning capacity. He limited him to just being a clerk. And even if he used his part-time earnings as one estimate, to assume a 20-year-old is gonna make 18 grand is just, I think, understates potential. He used work-life expectancy, which doesn't measure potential. Work-life expectancy is a probability of working. That's not, what we know in terms of probability, we know there's 100% probability. I know with 100% certainty that Darian didn't earn another nickel after his job. We know that everybody in this room could read it. The question is, what was his potential? So work-life doesn't measure potential. And he ignored benefits. So the fact that someone doesn't have benefits when they're 19 doesn't preclude that the potential to have benefits. And his consumption, the maintenance rate is more like consumption.
One final question, are your opinions here today based on a reasonable degree of economic certainty?
Yes, they are. Thank you.